making good progress on that school and Jackson Theater, so. We've got a good meeting planned for tonight. Good to see everyone here.
Jim, do you want to move up a seat, or are you going to stay down there by
I think
yourself? You going to stay down there by yourself? Okay. I understand.
Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And I was wondering why we have so many people here, but I noticed on the first thing on our agenda is the beer board. I guess that's what everybody's here for, the beer board. Seeing where you get your next drink. Just kidding there. First thing in that for the beer board to address is an application for retail off-premise beer permit for GPM Southeast, doing business on as Roadrunner, number 6023. That's on 101 East Jackson Boulevard. Is anyone here to speak to that? Yeah. Hi. If you would, state your name and address for the records.
Okay, Janie Davis, 2110 Chestnut Pike, Arwood.
Okay.
We just are relinquishing our beer permits from MEOC
Right.
and to turn them over to GPM Investments.
Right. That sounds good.
it's-
I remember I guess they made that purchase.
Yeah, about 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and they're moving it all into the Southeast Division now. It'll be the store, the BP down here next to the jail, and the Shell right up here with the Dunkin'.
All right, very good. Well, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Anyone got any questions or anything? Sir? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And who do I need to give these to?
Hand them to Greg right there, and
Give
then
him
he'll
to Greg.
pass them.
Or to Greg.
Little joke there. We've named him two. We gave him two names, Greg and Craig.
I will stop saying that.
All right.
For the record, I didn't do that.
Anyone else? All right. The next item on our beer board is the application for retail off-premise beer permit for GPM Southeast. That's the Roadrunner 6024 at 141 Boone Street, Jonesborough. That's same thing. Yep. All right. Anyone here to speak to that? Very good. Next item for the beer board is application for Jonesborough Convenience Store craft beer sampling permit for GPM Southeast. That's the Roadrunner 6024 at the Shell Station, 141 Boone Street. That's something we addressed many years ago. Anyone here to speak to this transfer? All right, very good. If not, I'll close our beer board. Now we'll go into our regular meeting.
Mayor, y'all don't need to vote on which one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I thought that was in our agenda.
No, sir, it's part of the beer board meeting.
Okay.
Beer board comes to the BMA then, is that what you're saying?
Okay.
Yep, okay.
It's in our under new business.
Well, you're actually,
No, that's the wine and
you're,
that's the
Okay.
wine. It's a separate
you've got to approve
permit.
the beer.
Okay.
Only the beer board approves it. It does not go to the.
There goes the, okay. All right, so
BMA.
Alderman, you see first one there's application for retail off-premise beer permit for GPM Southeast. Anyone got any questions for that?
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Causey,
She's absent.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye. Very good. Yeah, I should say that Alderman Causey was here earlier today, but she had to leave to go home to take care of her husband, so we'll be thinking about her tonight. Next item is application for retail off-premise beer permit for GPM Southeast. That's for the Roadrunner 6024. Alderman, any questions or comments about that?
Motion for approval, Mayor.
Motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, very good. Last one is application for Jonesborough Convenience Store craft beer sampling permit for GPM Southeast at the Roadrunner 6024 on 141 Boone Street.
Motion for
Got a
approval,
motion to
Mayor.
approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion?
On a roll here.
That's right. Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, very good. So all things remain the same there at the BP and the Roadrunner. Sounds good.
After all that, we better pray, so let's let Adam.
That's right. Well, now for real, opening prayer by Vice Mayor Adam Dixon.
Let us all pray. Dear God, we are grateful people on this day, and we're so grateful for all of your wonderful blessings. God, we're grateful how you watch over us. We're grateful, God, for how you just continue to bless and guide and direct our paths. Things don't have to be, God, as well as they are. We see our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine, Lord God, fighting for their freedom. We don't have to have what we have here in this great country. And we just appreciate you so very much for your hedge of protection that you, God, have given us. We thank you for this community, and we just thank you, God, just for the beauty that we've had here, particularly over this weekend. Just beautiful weather, just a wonderful, wonderful season. We're grateful people, and we thank you. God, we just ask that you guide this board, continue to bless this town staff, guide the work that they do, guide this meeting and our deliberations. And Lord, we ask that everything be done to your glory. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Adam. Ruth, who do you have to lead the pledge tonight?
Mr. Joel Connor.
Very good.
Oh.
Stand, pledge, salute, say the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Ruth. All right, Mr. Recorder, roll call, please.
Let's see. Mayor Bess,
Here.
Alderman Causey, Alderman Countermine,
Here.
Alderman Dixon,
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Present.
All right. We're going to move right into our consent agenda. And Alderman, if you would, on item number 7 in the consent agenda, I'm going to make one small change to that. We're going to remove point 2 out of that section there, so that won't be part of this approval process.
Is this going to be considered separately, or is it forgotten?
That's going to be forgotten temporarily. We'll come back at another time and address that.
Huh.
That's some personnel things we're taking care of there. I guess I'll just say we've got a great event coordinator who had some family issues, come up months ago with her family. It's caused her to become a caretaker for some grandchildren.
Yep.
And it's created some scheduling issues with her being an event coordinator for our town, but she's been such a great one for us and great at fundraising. We're still trying to just consider all our options there to make sure before we.
Well, can I speak to the other item there that wasn't removed?
Yes, you can. You can speak to number 1 there if you'd like, Mr. Wolf.
Artie White is retiring after 44 years with
Yeah.
the town of Jonesborough.
Yeah.
44.
And I know it's not effective until January. Is that right? Something like that?
Yes. January 13th.
Yep. But golly, he's been there and seen it all and done it all. And what a wonderful guy, what a wonderful employee. And he will be missed. So I know that our water staff and recorder's office are preparing for his departure, but there will be an incredible amount of institutional knowledge lost when he leaves. We love him as a person. We're going to miss him as a colleague. Who you get to fill that role is going to be important. So let him spend some time with Artie is all I wanted to say. But I wanted to say also thank you to Artie White for his 44 years of dedicated service. That's a lifetime.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he's like a family member here in the town of Jonesborough.
Yep.
Just the truth. One of the best, actually.
Yep.
I appreciate Alderman Wolf for saying something, because they don't come much better than Artie. And tell the truth, you'll see Artie out on the street, and my father's been gone now, gosh, I'd say now about 26, 27 years. And I can go to Artie, and Artie can give me remembrances of Fred Dixon, because he knew him as a young man.
Mm-hmm.
And so I appreciate Artie for that. I can go to him. He can tell me stories, and we can reminisce a little bit. So I appreciate Artie very much. And again, like I said, just outstanding here for the town. So, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Adam. I will say that seemed like we had an employee of the month not long ago. Donna, were you? It's 44 years. How many years have you worked for the town of Jonesborough?
Going on 43.
43. So
Mere youngster. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of item 7, is it B?
2.
2.
Yes.
7-2.
Very good. Got a motion to approve by Alderman Wolf.
I'll second, Mayor.
Second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is our financial report, and I appreciate got our new recorder down there. He's doing a great job with him and Abby working together to put our finances in order. Things are looking good, and I always like to touch on a couple of things with our sales tax collection. Going back and looking at, we're usually about 3 months behind on sales tax collections, but going back and looking at June of this year, we had the best sales tax collection in the history of our town, and up almost 20% over the year before. So it's an outstanding year for our town, but outstanding month. We came back in July. We had the best July we've had in our town's history. But I will say we're starting to see, I think now, somewhat of how the economy's getting impacted, whereas we were seeing 10 and 15% and 20% increases in sales tax. I think it's going to be a little tougher going forward. We're still up about 2.5–3% there in July versus a record number in July of last year. So things are still going well, but the economy has somewhat changed and inflation factored in there. I'd say the number of transactions out there is probably slightly down, but still encouraged. And really, for the most of the part last year through June, with as bad as inflation was, we grew at a faster pace than what inflation was. So that's certainly encouraging there. And I always like talking about our building permits. We've had 395 building permits so far this year. That's compared to 181 this time last year, that same month. So almost doubling, more than doubling up on that. And really, just the dollar amounts of that those building permits are $16 million greater than last year. So things are healthy in Jonesborough, and I appreciate the things that our community's done to make those things happen, and then also our entrepreneurs and business owners. All these things and a lot of the things the board's done in the last 10–15 years has impacted where we were ready for this explosion of new residents and just explosion of business, retail sales. We were ready for it, and we're going to take advantage of it. All right, now we'll move into, we got the financial report. Alderman, you got any questions about the financial report?
Move for approval.
Motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Got a second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we're going to move into communications from the mayor. Several things I got to talk about there, but first and foremost, I want to ask Mr. Ford there if he will give us an update on our sidewalks project and Shell Road. I know Shell Road's down to where just getting the curbs that got to go in and in the paving. So,
the county highway department was able to do a leveling strip for us on the shoulders, so they were starting this week putting the curbing in. As soon as the curbing's done, they'll come back and resurface the roadway, and that project will thankfully finally be completed. We'll have some small things to do, such as doing some backfill in the curb, but for the most part that project will be finished. As far as the sidewalk project goes, I can't speak exactly to all of the properties. I do know that there was several property owners that live out of state that they've still been trying to contact to get the easements signed. I know they had a meeting with one of them last week to try to resolve some issues that they had. We got the drainage report back that showed, or plans back that showed some roadway cuts in their new asphalt up there, and I rejected that and said that's not happening. So I met with the engineer and our street department director last week, and so we've got an abbreviated plan that's going to work very well. Plus it'll save a lot of time actually doing the drainage work and save a lot of money as well. And then I've talked to the contractor just to let him know that we're very close to getting the rest of the easements signed, and we're actually hoping that we can start the project this month. He's certainly, the contractor's in a position to do that. Again, it mainly boils down to those final few remaining easements that needs to be signed.
Okay.
The majority of easements are signed, as Mr. Ford was saying, and we're looking at the west side and the east side, and basically based on those easements that we already have recorded, to be able to start working both on the west side, which would be more of our folks on the drainage, and then the contractor looking on the east side. So we're pretty much ready to start working on different sections of the project.
And we're gonna work from the outside and I guess meet somewhere around the senior center, I guess, right? From the
Correct.
Yes, sir. The issue is, we're obviously under a deadline. I mean, there's a line in the sand on completing Lincoln Park, and that park has got to be finished. So I'm working with the street department director and another department, hoping that we can go ahead and get our drainage work done and not interfere with the street department's work in Lincoln Park.
All right, very good. Lincoln Park's looking great as well, so appreciate all that, Craig. Next item we have is a proclamation, and I'm going to ask Mr. Alderman Terry Countermine to issue this proclamation for us.
Well, when Sandy and I moved here over 32 years ago and joined the Methodist Church, one of the first people to welcome us was Helen Conger. And over the years, she's been so kind. I often say the world needs more people like Helen Conger. And so I'm proud to read this proclamation. Joel, you want to? Should I get Joel up?
Sure, yes.
I may get him to sing.
Please don't.
The proclamation honoring the 100th birthday of Helen Conger. Whereas Helen Conger was born October 9th, 1922 in Newburgh, Georgia, where she grew up. And whereas she attended Georgia State College for Women in Milledgeville, Georgia, playing basketball for the college, and after graduation became a home economics teacher in Harlem, Georgia. And whereas while in the city of Harlem, she met her future husband, Joe Conger, who was working for Pet Milk after graduating from the University of Georgia in Athens. And whereas after getting married and Joe getting transferred to Pet Milk facilities in Abington, Virginia, and then Johnson City, Tennessee, Joe and Helen Conger moved to Jonesborough over 70 years ago. Whereas Helen Conger worked as a homemaker, raising 5 children, and her home serving as a neighborhood recreation center with all the neighborhood children constantly over at her house. And whereas a dedicated member of the Jonesborough United Methodist Church, for decades, Helen has served as a prayer warrior, praying every day for people in need. And whereas Jonesborough United Methodist Church is hosting a birthday celebration from 2 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 22nd, open to all friends and family, honoring Miss Conger's 100 years of life. most of which as a dedicated resident of the town of Jonesborough. Then, therefore, the board, Jonesborough Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and the citizens of Jonesborough do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 22nd, 2022 as Helen P. Conger Day in the town of Jonesborough, with that acknowledgement being displayed on the Visitor Center marquee and on the town website. Be further proclaimed that with her children, 8 grandchildren, and 16 great-grandchildren, I encourage all citizens of the town of Jonesborough to help Helen Conger celebrate her 100th birthday and her life in Tennessee's oldest town.
Fantastic.
I want to thank you, the mayor, the alderman, and the town of Jonesborough. Mama would be honored, and she would be here, except her PT trainer came and she's out running for the next marathon. So she'll be back. But thank you all.
Thank you.
My family over here thanks you for it too.
Thank you. All right, thank you all.
Porter, are you staying?
All right, the next thing we have, let's do Employee of the Month. I need to have Sergeant Jeff White come down.
All right.
Get him to sing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, I'll let you hold this. Sergeant Jeff White has been with the Jonesborough Fire and Police Department for many years. He has continually demonstrated commitment and dedication to the public in his years of service. On the evening of September 7, 2022, Sergeant Jeff White responded to a fire at the Jonesborough Barrel House located at 119 East Main Street. When Sergeant White arrived, he found a small building at the back of the address fully engulfed in flames. And it was high flames too. I was on the hill by Parsons Table and could see them down there. Sergeant White and the Jonesborough Fire Department leaped into action. Given the nature of the already engulfed building and the foregoing his safety, Sergeant Jeff White began fighting the fire in his police uniform when he heard people calling out from an apartment next to the outbuilding. The individuals in the apartment had no way to exit the building safely. Without hesitation, he focused on getting those trapped to safety. His years of training and experience ensured Sergeant White was able to keep the fire from spreading to the apartment building and injured anyone. That's amazing. He assisted in getting those individuals down from the apartment and away from the blaze. After Sergeant White secured their safety, he continued to fight the fire, saving surrounding historic buildings from damage and ruin. He never stopped working to fight the fire despite the exhausting conditions. Sergeant White's efforts irrefutably saved buildings adjacent to the property and the potential loss of life by keeping the fire from escalating. Sergeant White embodied the police motto to protect and serve with his actions. Therefore, we strongly recommending Sergeant Jeff White for Employee of the Month for his heroic and brave actions. That's from Chief Matt Rice. We appreciate everything.
There you go.
You want to say anything?
I wouldn't have done nothing no different than any police fireman here in the town of Jonesborough. We've got a great public safety department, fast response from the fire department. My officer, Nancy here, did a wonderful job. So I credit everyone that was there on the scene.
Very good.
With fast action, what we did.
Well, I know I was on the hill and I was seeing those flames coming up through there, and by the time I circled around to come down, I could see you guys going up the alleyway, and those flames are still big. And you all got to work real quick and put them
Got a
out.
little hot.
more than hot. And one other thing, it wasn't just enough to give you Employee of the Month. I felt like that night that those flames are really close to another building right next door that I think we're housing some natural gas lines.
Yes.
And it could have got really bad downtown. We could have lost our downtown up there if we'd have had that fire spread. So we felt like it was fitting to give you key to our town of Jonesborough.
Now your challenge is to find out where that key fits.
Yeah, yeah. The bad part about it was I had a text from someone, a resident, and it was great response by the fire department. I was like, what response from the fire department?
Yeah.
And then they said Barrel House, and I was like, phew.
Yeah, we were really, that was really scary that night, because where that fire was, there was trees behind it, and you know, everything in Jonesborough, if it's wood, it's old wood, and it was scary. And just, I was amazed how quick Jeff and the other firemen that got on the scene, how quick they got it under control. It made a difference. So certainly blessed that night to have those guys responding. All right, next item is Paul's in Blues Business Awards. So I think, Ruth, you have some awards to give out tonight. You want to come down the front and talk about this? I know we met and had a little meeting about this.
Well, this past spring, I know y'all have probably seen our donation jars in different businesses around town. And usually what we did is after our demonstration competition in June, we'd go and pick them up. Well, there were people that wanted to keep them. So we let them have them, and they'll call me when the jar gets full. And I'll go collect the money and deposit it. And as a result of that, the board, my board, came up with the idea that we would have a continual program, and these jars stay in businesses that have requested them. We collect the money and keep a tab. And then we will give the business a plaque as they reach certain levels. And we have 2 businesses that have reached $350 collection through these jars. And, you know, as they build up, or they get 500, they'll get a little larger plaque and on up. So it's been a very rewarding program, and it's people that want to participate in it. So
Our first one
go ahead.
went to Jonesborough Wine and Spirits. We're certainly glad to have them. All right.
David left, Joel left.
Yeah, and this was the Malks of Jonesborough. Going in with just here. Well, Ruth, thank you for everything you do. You want to get these to them, or you want to get to them?
I can take them.
Okay, there you go.
Do you want to take
No,
them?
you take them.
I'll take them to the businesses tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Hey, Ruth, I guess you don't need me to take a picture.
Yeah.
Of them, right?
After
Okay. And Ruth's nose is from the ski slopes. I'm not sure where. Told her to cover that up.
All right, and anybody that doesn't know our Paws and Blues, that's how we assist in the funding of our K-9 police officers. So we're, for a smaller police force, we've got a great K-9 crew here. I think we've got 4 of them, right, Craig? It's a great program. Three. Great.
Working on a 4th.
All right. Really, this last thing for me is just I just appreciate really the community, you know, coming together this weekend for the Storytelling Festival. It was just a beautiful weekend of it, and it's great to see people coming from all over to Jonesborough. I went and had breakfast at the Pancake House with my daughter, and there were some people there from Lexington, South Carolina. They were asking me, you know, where's the haunted storytelling going to be? And I said, well, you're not that far away. So people came from all over. I saw car tags from Texas, and I saw some from California, which we know they've probably moved here. Georgia.
They had registrations from all 50 states.
Did it really? Wow, that's good. So it's a great weekend, and Chris, of course, Jonesboro does a great job at events, and Cameo and Nora and them sitting there, they're a big part of it. But really, the storytelling center also, we appreciate what they did. Beautiful setup out there for the festival. So that's all I've got, and now we'll turn it over to citizens' comments. If anyone has anything they want to share about the town of Jonesboro, if you're a resident of our town or one of our water customers, we wouldn't mind hearing from you. Anyone here to speak? All right, very good. We'll move into Alderman communications. Alderman, anything you want to share with the community? Terry, we'll let you go first.
Well, the festival was great, and the police, thank you, Matt, the presence there, and I had people comment that everyone was so helpful in town and what a kind town it was, so thank you. And they had over 500 volunteers.
That's amazing. Yeah. Adam, you got anything you want to share?
No, sir.
No. Kelly?
Thank you.
I'll be uncharacteristically quiet.
Mayor, would one of the aldermen yield me a minute?
Mark this on the
Yes,
calendar.
yes. Well, I think he got choked on that peanut earlier today at the meeting, so he's good. We're not going to let him have peanuts anymore because we don't want him to die on us up here. Glenn, what you got to say?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, as we have some folks in the public, we have the advanced meter reading project. Basically, electronic meter reads are supposed to be starting on October the 17th. They're going to be starting in the downtown area. They call it Book 1.
Is this installation?
This is installation.
Wow.
Quick.
I've worked in Cameo and Mitchell and Nora to send out basically an announcement. That'll be number one. The other part I'm working on is a Q&A. So as people will be asking questions, I'm trying to anticipate those questions, which other places have already done this before. So looking at what are the common questions and the common answers. And so we'll be working with the general public. One thing of note is the company, I think it's Perma, will not only have their logo on their trucks, they'll also have the town of Jonesboro logo since we're in partnership with them. So they'll be identifiable. Should be maybe 15 to 20 minutes per meter, and we're hoping for not many interruptions, but at one point we can't control the 15, 20 minutes has to be done, and then they'll have a door knocker tag on their, I think they just put it on their doorknob, and it'll explain more about the project. And as we progress, we'll continue to update website and social media.
Glenn, do they take the lid and change it too, or is it just the meter?
That's a great question. I think it's just the meter.
I've seen a lot of those where they have a little disc on the lid of the water meter.
So
And
this
we
one
better tell people to adjust their mowing height.
this should shouldn't affect it, but we're also looking for any type of leaks both on the private side and the public side. So while we're there, that'll be done. And the nice thing about it is every single meter will be GPSed. So we're going to be working in the near future to be all digitized, and then we're working on our putting together the billing package with that software. So there will be some manual reading of the new meters. They will be more accurate, and as we progress, it'll basically go to all automated.
Very good. Glad to have that getting underway. One question there, Glenn. Before we go out and do that work, are we going to notify people on that street that we'll be there the following day just so they know to be prepared for that?
So I did reach out to a couple of the representatives to see whether or not we could do some kind of advanced. They were set up to do during that day, leave the door knocker as far as information. We're going to try our best to be able to do that. We're trying to figure out whether or not that can be mobilized. But we'll also blast out on social media and website and use Herald Tribune and Johnson City Press to try and continue as we progress into the different
Yeah,
neighborhoods.
if we know what streets we're going to be on, we can
Right,
kind of give them.
and I'll get more of what's Book 1. What is that? The roads that entails. I think we could probably do a list of roads that are Book 1. I'd say,
Yes.
and each
Yes.
book.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the day you're expected to be there or something.
Correct.
Okay. Very good, Glenn. All right, we'll move into town attorney comments. Jim, you got anything for us?
Mayor, I do have one thing this evening. The town administrator and I've had some discussions toward the end of last week, over the weekend, and today. And he's asked me to bring this to your attention tonight. There was no way to do this as executive session, as there is no litigation either pending or threatened or even considered, really. But we do need some direction from you. This would be something that the town may want to be proactive about. There was an issue that came up last week, just before the festival, about public parking along Fox Street. An entity in town has claimed that they own those spaces, and laid claim to them for the festival, or at least a portion of them. And it was decided that rather than try to there was no way really to deal with it during the week before the festival. The town administrator and operations manager worked with Storytelling to relocate some parking, and we just let that go. The couple of issues that come from that: one is the lack of parking in the downtown area. Two is the fact that it was highly disruptive to have it come up the week of the festival rather than sometime prior to that. And basically came up with a notification: these spaces belong to us. Storytelling, if you want to use them in the future, you need to check with us. We'll let you use, half of them this weekend, but not all of them.
Why hadn't this come up in the past when we had festivals or things?
Well, it's never been raised, to my knowledge, in the last 23 years. It's been estimated that the town's been maintaining those spaces for over 50 years, based on conversations this past week. And certainly last year, the same entity requested that they be striped by the town. Which would have to be public spaces, obviously. You can't do that on private property. We've not done anything like a survey or anything like that. It really doesn't matter who, what the surveys show, really. For over 50 years, those have been used for public parking. They've been used with that and maintained by the town. The sidewalk was built by the town. There'll be a prescriptive easement, if nothing else, over those spaces. But if you allow that to go on, there could be a prescriptive easement the other direction. So my legal opinion is that you don't have much choice but to either decide you're going to give those up, or that you're going to take a stand and ask the title be quieted, whether that's by agreement or by taking further action. What we're looking for this evening, we do not want to take that on without some direction from the board. So we'd like to know if what you all want us to do is to protect those parking spaces as public parking spaces, the sidewalk as a public sidewalk.
Do you need a formal vote, or can just a spirit of the opinion of the board be fine?
I guess if we ask if there were any objection to us moving forward, we would not need a vote if there's no objection.
I think with us maintaining those for so many years, we need to protect those spaces. Yeah.
I'll just tell you, all the folks on Fox Street would be dead in the water without all the little businesses right there. That's a big deal.
So we will notify the entity that we're going to have to clarify this, and we're going to need to do it in writing, or we're going to need to do it through a suit to quiet title. And then we would come back to you all to authorize the suit before we filed anything.
Now, is there some of those spaces now, is some of them currently handicapped, or are they all just open spaces?
I think there are 2 of them that are handicapped, and the remainder are open, and I counted roughly 17. I may be off by 1 or 2 there.
Yeah. Well, we've been able to coexist for 50-some years. You'd hope that entity would kind of understand that. But I do see that as long as we've got handicapped parking spaces there, so people who are going to the church there can use those spaces. Hopefully there's a little bit of a compromise we can get out there. But we certainly need to protect those spaces.
Well, and of course, they can utilize them as public spaces.
Yeah.
They can also, just like any other entity, could come to you all if they're having a special event and ask that they be closed off. That's all possible still. That's not something that would be prohibited.
Right.
But it would be up to the public entity to do that.
All right. Do you have the direction you need?
Yes, sir.
I think so.
If no
Okay.
objection.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate your work you do for the town. All right, we don't have any old business tonight. We're going to run into some new business. talked about beer earlier. Yeah, it does look like we're talking about.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
All right, motion carried. Continuing on, discussion of possible action concerning approval of a certificate of compliance for retail food store wine sales for Roadrunner Market 6024. Kind of along the same line there. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
Second?
Got a second from Alderman Wolf. I gotta get Alderman Dixon in here at some point.
We got a long agenda.
That's right.
We've been
Okay.
here since 5.
Any questions or comments? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. I know this next one's important to Adam. Just kidding there. Discussion and possible action concerning approval for the installation of a camera downtown with live 24-hour feed.
That's good.
And, you know, when I see those things, I'm kind of skittish on cameras being everywhere, but this was probably a little bit less, or would be harmless, or I wouldn't be for it. But you see a lot of these cameras
Oh, yeah.
positioned in, you know, touristy type areas showing the festivals going on, just people wandering through the streets
It's
and
a
things.
weather cam.
Yeah,
It
so
gets
weather
us on
cam
the
up
news.
there. That's
You're
right.
gonna be able to watch the parade and
Yeah.
festivals live on.
Where's it gonna be?
Well, that's up in the air is on where exactly to locate it. That's my, I guess they have some questions over whether it be the Storytelling Center or.
Well, what I think has been settled on, Mayor, if I may, is a decorative street light in front of the Mill Spring Makers Market
Yeah.
because of the angle looking straight down the street. Well, you'll have to get in line. We gotta get this one done first.
Now, my question about that would be that it's fine if that's where the board wants to go. From there, you really don't see where most of our action goes on, which is Courthouse Square,
Well-
where it's got music on the square or things like that. I know Storytelling Center was someplace we looked at, but I thought maybe on top of some Malks right there because they do have Storytelling Center. You got that big tree there, which I don't think you could really get a view of the Courthouse Square, but from Malks you could get all the way down the street
Well-
and the Courthouse Square and the opposite direction. So.
Well, here's the problem. You gotta pick one direction to put the thing up. And this gives you the longest view of Main Street. There's also a Wi-Fi portal right in front, or attached to Melinda's building there, Mill Spring Makers Market. And, there's a plug when they rewired the street lights and redid downtown and did Christmas lights most recently, they put outlets. So there's a power source on this thing already. And, I think right there at Mill Spring Makers Market is perfect for the thing to look straight down Main Street.
Well, I guess one thing on that location, you would have, you know, access, I guess, to the parades coming down Boone Street and stuff. But,
Later, maybe?
Alderman, what's that, Glenn?
I was gonna say, if it works well and people like it, we'll put another one up later.
Good enough.
Yeah, I would, yeah, for me, at that location under Mill Spring, Makers Market, to me, that's not quite as desirable because you do have those bollards that are always placed there. It's not really at the start where the festivals are, so it's not quite as attractive as I think is where it would be. It's at Courthouse Square, so, yeah, I mean, if it goes great, you consider someplace more towards Courthouse Square. And I do think it'd be best if we had one there at Courthouse Square that could go either way. Because when the Jackson Theater opens up, to me, that'd be a great thing to go that direction. Mill Spring, it's not as much happening on that end of the street.
It's a good place to test it out.
Yep.
I don't think they turn the cameras very much once they install
You
them.
can do 2 cameras there.
And, I would say that, this was initiated by the folks at the Chucky Depot. Mike Tilley has done a wonderful job bird dogging all this information. They've had a camera on their train tracks, and and coming up as a view out of their depot, he's talked extensively about how many people look at it from the different parts of the country where they look at it. And I know they featured on the website. This will be a great thing for us to feature on the town website. You can feature it on your business page if you're a merchant downtown Jonesborough. I'm make a motion, we approve the proposal to install the camera as per Cameo's recommendation there in front of Mill Spring Makers Market.
All right, we got a motion to approve.
I'll second, Mayor.
All right, we go. We got Adam to speak up. Motion, got a second from Alderman Dixon. Any other discussion? All right.
Say something about this. I do participate in meetings just on the regular, okay?
You make the motion on the next.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I am used to it. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay. All right, let's hope this is the first of maybe a couple or several. Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
All right, motion
Can,
carried.
can I add a post note to that little discussion, Mayor? This
Yes,
camera's
you-
gonna cost $5,000 or more. And Mr. Tilley has been proactive in raising the money, so it's not frivolous or cheap or something that you do lightheartedly. And I think he has done an excellent job putting that proposal.
Right, yeah, no cost to the town to do this. That's good.
Excellent.
All right, we're going to move into discussion, possible action concerning approval of a resolution accepting the appropriation from TDEC to be used for the AMR project. That's our meter installations there. Just a resolution. Alderman, you got any questions or comments about that?
I do. Glenn,
Yes, sir.
so this is to be taken off of the total cost of our project as a whole, is that correct? We're getting a grant for this much, basically from TDEC?
So we, the meters came in at around 4.4 million. The TDEC monies, which is the $1,005,000 approximately, is being leveraged towards the meter project. So right now, we've already applied, we've gone through Title VI and on and on. This is more shoring it up as far as the board taking resolution. So yes, the goal is to use the $1,005,000 towards the overall cost of the meters. It is the only project right now that this TDEC monies is being applied for.
And we'll obviously meet the 25% match.
Correct.
with The other $3 million we spend on it.
Correct.
Very good. Any other comments, questions?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Got a motion approved from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine.
Already had it.
Any questions or comments from Adam?
I'm just glad to see federal money.
That's right.
So these are ARPA funds. So
They are, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad to chime in.
Well, saving $1 million there, so that's good. Yeah. All right, call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we got discussion and possible action concerning approval of the following bids. Archive social media content. Our first one there. Alderman, you got any questions or comments about that?
I've got one comment on my background. My first paragraph, last sentence just stops.
Well, I thought it was lunchtime.
I know it was something probably brilliant
It was.
to finish it off.
Says we believe that A. I thought it was fill in the blank.
I thought you were starting to spell adult Happy Meal. Where is this $4.99 a month going to come from? What account, Glenn?
Yeah, so we'll split it up between the general fund and the water fund.
Okay. Is this a budgeted expense that was put forth in this year's budget?
It is not, but I believe wholeheartedly it can be absorbed
Okay.
into the budget. We are starting out with, I don't want to say a lower plan, it's called the standard plan based on social media, different ones that we have, and you have the memo. So we're hoping that we can stay within this range if we find that, I guess it's more posts is what it amounts to. If we get to the point that there's more posts and have to look at a higher plan, I would bring it back before the board before we changed.
So will this include board minutes and records of committee meetings and things like that, since those do show up on our town website?
It'll show up within any post that we create. We usually don't share the minutes and the agenda directly. We share a link to the website, but that link would be archived, but not necessarily those documents. That would be something we'd have to do through the website and not social media.
So, Alderman Wolf, one of the things we are looking at as we look at our financial software package is, call it archiving, but a similar approach to all of our town documents.
Well,
So it would be minutes and whatever boards we have, they basically be scanned and be able to be searched.
the days of the file box in the attic are
Correct.
drawing to an end.
Yeah.
And so we do need to invest in that. And I kind of thought that this was a little bit of that, but what I'm hearing is this is just social media
Yes, sir.
content. Okay, well. And it'll be searchable, correct, when they get done with it? Yep, great.
I guess if you wanted to archive it, you could just make a post about something that was.
The key is if we're in the public realm, that when we post that there's a public record or a footprint, or even a footprint, and that we don't want to get to the point to where we would, for whatever reason, remove a post, and then a resident or anybody in Tennessee that can ask for a public records request to say, I'd like to see that post of yours.
Right, right.
So,
Right. Well, it's
but
just-
as you were saying, the same thing will be done that we're looking for as our other documents.
Very good.
To echo Alderman Calls, even though she's not here, do you have any idea what line item this might come from, Glenn, of the budget? What type of line item? General line item? Not specific. Would it be is this a new line item, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, as Robert was saying, general administration, but one of the things we could create a technology type
Okay.
line item
Okay.
and track it that way.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Not
I
all.
think the tourism department has shown how important and beneficial social media is, so I think this is good.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll take a motion.
So moved to approve as presented.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf.
Second.
Dang it.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion?
Keep pointing at me.
We'll save Glenn's
This board
contract
knows
for
who
you,
has the
Adam.
power, so they can
Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf,
Aye.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
For the record, I don't think Ms. Causey would ask me that specific, a line item.
I don't know.
She might text me in a minute if she's watching.
It's good Robert was down there to rescue you.
Yes, he was.
All right, next item is a discussion possible action approving the bids for plant material at the Lincoln Park project. You can see that, a little $14,000 expense there, and
Starting to look great up there.
it is.
Absolutely.
It
I
is.
will move.
A motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
I'll second.
Got a second from Alderman Dixon. Any other discussion? All right, call the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Dixon,
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, very good. It'll be beautiful up there. Now it's discussion and possible action concerning approval of the bid for the tree bid. That's at the Jonesborough School project. We're planting a lot of trees up there. So it's not going to be just a beautiful school. It's going to be a beautiful surrounding area. So Alderman, you can see this. This generally comes out of the school project fund. See what the recommendation. You got any questions or comments?
You know, just grateful for the town's history and of getting these grants. We have such a strong history of receiving grants and such, and so just grateful that just to see that continue to go forward.
Absolutely, and the plan is to get them in the ground first part of November, so it's a good time to be planting them.
Mayor, I move to approve.
There we go, we waiting on that. Motion to approve from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Dixon,
Aye.
Alderman Counterman,
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Okay, if you got trees, you gotta You gotta have somebody put them in the ground, 'cause there's a lot of trees. So discussion and possible action concerning approval of the following bid for tree installation. You can see we got to approve the bidder Kinch's lawn care there. For about $14,000, put all those trees in the ground. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Motion to approve from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine.
What happens if they, do we have any, like, if some of them die, do we have any guarantee on the trees?
You can buy them both ways.
Yeah.
Do you
I
know
think
how
it
we-
was,
Did we buy them with a guarantee, Glenn, or not?
I'm thinking,
The bid spec said 1 year.
1 year?
They are guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is
1
it?
year sounds
Pay a
like.
little
Yep.
more
1
that
year
way.
guarantee?
Yeah. Well, got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we got discussion and possible action concerning approval of the fire department grant funds for the purchase of equipment for the fire department. See our background information there. I'm going to purchase a Cascade system, brush truck, and accessories.
Glenn, if this bid comes in more than what we're expecting it to, which it can with inflation and all, how do we cover the difference?
as of right now, we would have to come back to the board for additional funds.
Do you have any keen ideas about
The-
where
I know, I'm going to stop joking about Greg, but Craig has been heavily involved in, and Chief Fritz is
right?
right now confident based on what the needs are as far as equipment and apparatuses that the 214,000 right now is a good number
Okay.
to meet our obligation.
Alderman Wolf, just to
Yep.
follow up on that too, the Ford dealership that had the statewide contract this year, who was awarded a statewide contract for the coming year, said that Ford Motor Company was changing their process on government service contracts, so they're only giving local governments in the state of Tennessee about a 4 or 5 day window in early November to order these bigger trucks, and they said it would be at least a year out getting that truck. So
But
one
they'll
of-
lock the price for you.
one of the reasons for bringing that to the board now is we can get the truck on order. We'll know what it does cost us if for any reason that wound up putting us a little bit over. We can actually deal with that during next year's budget process.
Okay.
We feel confident that the allocation will cover the expenditures, but if not, that will give us plenty of time to
Plan B.
deal with that
Okay.
during the budget year. for
Well,
next
I
year.
know they spec these things all the time, and then you've got, it's a very highly specialized business, so the
Yeah.
biggest variable will be what are they gonna charge you for the truck?
Yeah, and see, if we don't order in November of this year, then it'll be October or November
Yep.
of next year before you can order again.
No problem.
And that applies to our other
Yes, sir. The heavy
vehicles that
trucks.
we would be considering.
Very good. Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion to approve from Alderman Wolf,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next item, discussion and possible action concerning approval of a resolution for the general obligation capital outlay note, Series 2022, for the Jonesborough utility capital projects. Glenn, anything there you want to speak to?
So, a couple of things. A few times that we've met about our utility projects, in particular, where we've talked about borrowing up to $6 million, barring looking at bids that have come in, and as you know, or to tell you, Northern Loop Phase 1, it was projected at 1.5. It came in about 1.34. Electronic meters, we were projecting 3.7. It came in at 4.4 million. So, the idea was to borrow up to $6 million that would cover the projects. You probably have in here a note that then there's the TDEC money. The TDEC money is not guaranteed. It is just implied right now that it is that the electronic meters are an eligible project under the TDEC ARPA funds. So in saying that, we have other projects that were talked about as far as pump stations, lift station A. We have engineering on all these. We have a lot of priority utility projects that even if the TDEC money is applied and we had some remaining, the board can come back with that remainder of monies and basically assign it or talk about another project that the remainder can cover. So this ensures that we can cover our projects, and with the TDEC money would provide us a bit more cushion room. The other thing is why do it now? First, we need to do it, but second, the interest rates aren't getting any better with time right now, and so we're probably more competitive today than we will be 6 months from now or a year from now.
Yeah, I agree on that. And
Glenn, is this not a bridge loan, so to speak, in between us getting our permanent funding with this bond obligation? This is additional monies.
Correct.
Okay, I misunderstood the intent.
So one of the things about TDEC monies is that we believe even if they said, which we believe, that the meters are an eligible project,
Yeah.
that the amount of time that they will take to reimburse us for our spending on the meters will be a long time. It's not one of those 30 days turnaround. So this does give us not a bridge, but a cushion to get our project done. And then I believe we'll have a remainder available for choosing another utility project that we haven't
How much
funded.
do you think we'll have left?
It's hard to project right now. I think right now, borrowing the money and the TDEC, we will be able to accomplish all the projects that we have spoken about for the last, I guess, 6 months.
Now you keep saying about TDEC,
The TDEC, the $1 million.
Yeah, covering
it's not in our bank.
covering the meters, but if it didn't cover
Correct.
the meters, would it cover something else in this?
No,
project?
it would go to the meters if meters didn't work out, which would be unusual.
Yeah, okay.
So
we-
what this is a 12-year capital outlay note. And I assumed it was kind of a bridge between the permanent financing. So you're telling me this is additional above what was authorized before to borrow?
Correct.
Okay.
So our two projects right now are at approximately 5.74 million.
Right.
With what we have already approved is 4.75.
Okay.
If TDEC, for some reason, says no, we have to have monies to be able to pay.
This is your insurance policy
Yes.
in case they don't say yes on
Yes.
the AMI money. Okay.
Correct, and then
All right.
yeah, and then the pump stations, the A station, all that also is part of this.
So if they say yes, all those things proceed at that point.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah, that's our hope.
So if they say yes and we get the money that we approved to apply for earlier, the million something, then we could potentially have that much left over at the end of the project to do something else with. Is that correct?
Correct. So,
All right.
for example, if there was $500,000 left over after all said and done, then we can choose a utility project for $500,000.
Okay. But you're saying we need this for cushion.
Yes.
Because it's already coming in a little more than we thought it would.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure I at least understand the why and wherefore on this thing.
and I think there's a delay in getting reimbursed from TDEC for that
Oh.
that million. So we
The
need to.
potential is longer than most.
Yeah.
So by
Okay.
it being a 12-year, we're fine with that amortization. You know, the other one is the 5.7 a 12-year as well, or is it?
Correct.
It is.
The 4.75.
4.75. Sorry.
Correct.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So it's right in line with the other one.
Right,
Okay.
and there, like I said, the original we were looking at 6 million with an amortization schedule, and just the way the bids came back, it split the resolution by two different capital outlay notes.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Now I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Certainly all things we need to do. No other questions? Take a
Well,
motion.
I'll make a comment real quick.
Okay.
This stuff like Lift Station A is a big deal because the new school will be connected to that. And that is the oldest pump station in the town of Jonesborough.
Yeah.
And it's desperately needed to be upgraded. And then the northern loop, obviously, all your growth's on that end of the town. So it's definitely much needed.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yep.
All right.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Wolf,
I'll second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Last item we have is approval, discussion and possible action concerning approval of the town administrator employment agreement. Since we got him up here, we need to get him under contract. We like the job he's doing. Alderman, any questions or comments there?
Lynn, are you okay with this contract?
Yes, sir.
Again, divining maybe in Alderman Causey's absence some of her attention to detail, would it be better for us to let this contract coincide with a budget year, the expiration of a budget year? I know at one point that we had that always be the case with Mr. Browning and his contracts. There is something to be said for staggering those as well. Have you all thought about that? Who's handling this? You, Jim?
I was the one that talked with Glenn about the contract. The idea was that we got a little bit of separation between the three negotiated salaries you have, so that you were dealing with one person at a time. But if you could do that, closer to budget time, or you could do it by just pulling back this contract date sometime during that year. I spoke to Glenn about that this morning. Or you can leave them spread out the way you got them right now. You're spread out kind of throughout the year. But you could back those up and have them, if you want to spread them out a little bit, you could say you're going to do it in February, April, and budget cycle with the other one.
Well, now it's reading, October 11th through October 31st, 2025 other than being, is that Halloween day? We don't want to be trick-or-treated by Glenn. But,
the thing about 2025 was to get it to a non-election year.
Yeah.
Right.
And you could still do that anytime during that year you wanted to do it. So it's really up to your all's
Do you
pleasure.
have a specific recommendation, Jim, in terms of stagger it or have it occur at the end of the budget year?
I understood, and I spoke to Alderman Causey this morning a little bit about this, and I understand and you've alluded to it, Alderman Wolf, that there could be some benefit to knowing what that number is going to be as you go into that budget. And if that's the case, then I don't think there'd be any problem with looking at doing it in the spring of the year, or late winter, early spring, and maintaining the staggering. If you agree that staggering them works well, then I would just back it up to the earlier part of the year on that.
So looking at the other contracts that we've got,
You're going to have to do the same thing probably with the recorder's contract, because I believe that probably fell, was it July or August?
You remember?
And as the state, all we need to do is just adjust his contract back, but to minimize the adjustment
back
you're
to
going to
what
make on
date? That when our fiscal year ends? Is that what you're talking about,
Yes.
Kelly?
or
Yeah.
just before that, maybe, say in May or something.
I tell you, the reason I think we wanted to get away from that is that I think the budget can be its own little animal sometimes, and getting the town administrator's contract involved in that. They're going to be working on the budget. To me, it's nice to have this come after the budget's approved, in my opinion.
But we need to discuss it and
Yeah,
make sure it's
right.
in the budget.
Yeah.
Cause that's the danger, is we get all done and then we wanna do something that costs more money and we
Yep.
don't have it in the budget.
Generally,
And I agree.
It needs to be treated like all other personnel decisions, during budget.
Yeah, so
you
it
budget
needs
for
to be at least
What-
discussed during budget,
What
so that
would-
we make sure we have the money to pay for whatever we're gonna do with the 3 people.
Well, the other thing you could do is leave them exactly like you got them, and just discuss that. There's no reason you can't prepare prepare to extend that contract
At
during the budget
Yes,
process.
exactly.
But you're going to hit. You can even sign a contract.
Right.
But it doesn't. His contract doesn't expire till October, so you've got till then.
I like it
to
expiring
get
in
it.
October like that, but yeah, like Terry says, we gotta make sure we address it during budget.
You just have to be disciplined to say we're going to include enough in the budget to cover whatever we set as the, or even go ahead and do it. Just
I think if you don't change the date, it'll be hard to remember, but I'll go along with whatever y'all want to do.
Is that a motion to approve?
I'll proudly make the, well, Adam, do you want to make?
Well, I just want to say
Sorry.
that it's incumbent upon somebody, and of course, I guess it would be the mayor to make sure that that next budget year 2025, I guess around April or May, that we're thinking about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, normally we're thinking about all the personnel decisions at that point. We need to treat it the same, at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well then, I move to approve the contract. For
I'll proudly second.
All right, we've got a motion to approve from Alderman Dixon. That's his first of the night. That's been the motion to approve. We've got a second from Alderman Wolf. Any other questions or discussion? Call for the vote, Mr. Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Wolf.
Aye.
Alderman Cameron.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. And I tell you what, we are blessed to have Glenn. He
Glenn?
came aboard at an important
Thank you for
time.
signing back on.
Well, I will be here in the morning.
Was that a hint?